Hey guys, it's Christine, also known as IvyWinter. Thank you for joining me for another Disney Do's and Don'ts. This is a bit long time coming. It was a request from my Do's and Don'ts series to do Do's and Don'ts for Disney resorts, as in the hotels. I did all of the different parks, but obviously there's more to be said about Disney than just the parks. And so I had a request from a couple of people to do specifically Do's and Don'ts for the resorts. So these are the things that I've learned through many of my trips in Disney World in terms of what to do and not to do, staying on property. And as always with these videos, I'm not covering every single do and don't, but I know that you guys have a lot of good ones, so please be sure to leave them in the comments below. But let's get started. Do make a room request. It's totally worth doing. Usually you can do basic ones online when you're booking. So things like choosing what floor you want to be on. Some people prefer the first floor, especially if they find it hard to get up and down. There's obviously elevators in addition to the stairs, but some people just like to be ground level, right? Just get right at the door. No worries about going up and down with luggage, or if you find you have a hard time doing so. Some people like the third floor. They don't want anyone above them. They like to be more removed from what's going on down on the ground floor. So you have that option. You can also request where you want your room to be, though that only goes so far. Obviously, if you pay for a preferred room, you're paying more to be closer to the lobby, so you can't necessarily just pick anywhere if you picked a standard room. But you can still choose generally what section you want to be in and make that request, and they will take that into consideration as well. And then finally, you can request to have a earlier check-in, which is something that I do, though I know that when you request this, it does say that that will override basically your other requests. Like, they're gonna make that the most important thing ahead of room location. So I like to do this because I do actually fly in pretty early for my trips. And while sure, I could drop off my bags and just go to the parks and then come back and have my room ready, there is something to be said for showing up at 10 a.m. and knowing that your room is already ready and you can drop everything off and kind of get settled before you head out. Don't make your reservation and then forget about it. It's really important that you keep track of upcoming deals and discounts that you might want to apply to your reservation. So you might make a resort reservation 8 months out, and then Disney decides that they're doing a seasonal discount when you're going to be there, or maybe they add free dining. I find the best way to add on discounts that come out after you've booked is by calling, talking to a cast member. They see this all the time. They know exactly how to set it up so that you will get a discount or free dining or anything else that they are now suddenly offering after the fact of booking. I also recommend calling for room requests as well. If you can do it online, and that's great, but there's something really nice about talking to somebody who can put the notes in, especially if it's more specific than the couple of questions that they ask you when you check in online. It's really nice to speak to someone to do both of those things, both adding discounts and doing room requests. So definitely don't set it and forget it with your reservation. Do take some time to walk around and explore. So maybe when you get there, your room isn't ready. Take some time to kind of explore the layout, check out the design, the decor. They all have very different atmosphere, which is really fun, and get to know where certain things are, the quick service, the store, if there's sit-down restaurants, where those are. Just get to know your resort a little bit and take in the atmosphere. I think a lot of people just kind of rush to their room and they don't really spend time walking around. I highly recommend it no matter where you stay, from a value all the way up to a deluxe. Don't check in at the lobby if you don't have to. Doing an online check-in bypasses this, and I highly recommend it. If you're able to book out far enough that they can ship you your magic bands and you don't have to talk to somebody to get them at the resort, I would suggest doing that, and then do the online check-in, which I think is 30 days out. That's how you can do your room requests and all of that. And then get the app so that when your room is ready on the day of, you're gonna see it in the app. They also email you, but I find the app to be faster and easier to check, and it'll show you exactly your section, your room number, and all of that. And it'll be tied to the magic band that you already have, so you should be able to just walk right into your room. I do this 99.9% of the time. The only time that I did ever really walk up to the check-in desk or just any of the cast members there in the lobby was when I was offered the opportunity to bypass mousekeeping for a gift card. Certain resorts do this. You do have to walk up and talk to somebody and get that handled. Other than that, I'm so about skipping the line in the lobby. There's no need for you to waste 20, 30 minutes checking in if you just do an online check-in. And if you want to know how to online check-in, I do have a video about that I will link up here. Do take advantage of the extra magic hours that you get as a resort guest. You know, you're already paying to be on property, and one of the perks that you get is extra magic hours at different parks on different days. So this should be on the schedule. You can check online, you can check with a cast member at your hotel, and it's either usually an hour in the morning and I think it's 2 hours or so in the evening. Different parks on different days, so definitely check what the schedule is. But you get to do this being a resort guest. You get to have extra time in the parks. I don't know why anybody wouldn't have extra time in the parks. So take advantage of this. You're staying on property. This is what you get. It's one of the cool perks. Don't go to the pool at the resort in the afternoon. You would think that people would be at the park. You're wrong. A lot of people do have pool days and they bring the kids and it gets really crowded and crazy. You'll notice this if you check in an afternoon and walk by the pool. I've never walked by a pool at Disney at 2 p.m. that wasn't just bumping with a bunch of kids and music and games and all of that. So if you want to avoid that, if you want to have a quieter time at the pool, I recommend you go in the morning or you go in the evening, about an hour or two before they close. You're still going to find people there. It's not going to be a whole pool to yourself, but you're going to have a lot less people running around if that's not your jam. It's not really my jam. I like to be a little more relaxed at the pool. On that note, also make sure that you go to the smaller pool at the resort. They usually have a couple, and usually one is the main one and one is the small one. Definitely check out the main one. They're cool. They always have really cool slides or theming, but the small one's obviously going to be a little bit quieter. Do research what transportation is available at your hotel. Some are bus only. Animal Kingdom Lodge, for example, bus only. Some have boats. You're going to have this at the Polynesian and the Grand Floridian, which will take a boat across to Magic Kingdom. You'll also have the Friendship boats if you're staying in the Boardwalk area, which can take you to Epcot or Hollywood Studios. There's also a boat that goes from, I believe, French Quarter and Riverside to Disney Springs. And then you're also going to have monorail if you're on a monorail resort line. Now, every single resort will have buses. That's hands down the basic, mode of transportation, but check what other options there are. You might want to pick certain resorts based on what transportation options there are. And remember that just because you have a boat probably doesn't mean you're taking a boat everywhere. You can't to Animal Kingdom, for example. So just check what the routes are. But you definitely want to be in the know in terms of transportation, because if you have multiple options, it kind of helps if one thing's running late or seems more crowded than the other. And lastly, don't forget that you can resort hop, and pretty easily. So I'm a big fan of this if you want to experience more than one resort in a trip. I love resort hopping, and that means staying at one resort for a couple of nights and staying at a different one for a couple of nights. And Disney makes this really easy because you don't have to lug your luggage with you unless you want to. Some people like to because they like to have it with them. They like to know it gets there. But you can very easily give it to concierge, and they will give it to what they call a runner. And these people basically run bags to and from different resorts all day. And so you can say, hey, I'm checking out of Pop, and I'm going to be checking into French Quarter later. Can you please get my bags over there? So they will make sure that French Quarter gets your bags. And generally, once your room is ready, they'll send it to your room. Though I always recommend checking in with the baggage claim area because sometimes they still have it there. But they're going to go take care of it. Now, granted, this takes a little bit longer. You got to give it a few hours because this person is running a bunch of different bags around. But you can do that and go to the park for the day and then go to your new resort and have your bags. Also, online check-in helps here too because, again, you can skip the lobby. You would have to check in to a second resort, but if you do online check-in for all of your resort hopping, you'll never have to do that. You can just go right to the room. I love resort hopping. I think it's a great way to stay at some nicer resorts on more of a budget. I can't always afford, a moderate or a deluxe for 4 nights, 5 nights, but I might be able to split it with a value, and then that makes it easier to budget in, and also I do get the experience of that other cool resort. So those are my do's and don'ts for Disney resorts and hotels. As I said earlier, I would love to know yours in the comments below. I would love to know if you agree or disagree with any of mine. If you like this video, then like it. If you like me, you should subscribe. I make videos every single week. We have a book club going on. We are reading Bob Iger's latest, greatest memoir called The Ride of a Lifetime. So if you're interested in that, the link will be down below to buy it. We have a Discord, which is for book club conversation and general conversation. We've got quite a few of us in there. We've got about 30 plus members all chatting away every day. So if you want to talk Disney, just meet other people who watch the channel. That will also be down below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great rest of the day. Bye.